What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be featuring 6 Samurais, which happened to be one of 4 decks in a poll I did last week, where 6 Samurais ended up being the deck that was picked most that people wanted support for. But before I begin, if you could happen to click on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons, it would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. Clicking on those notification bells would also mean a lot, as they notify you when I upload on the channel. So for this first one here, and I will be showing different avenues that you can take with several hands containing basically the same cards, which is just Shien's Dojo plus access to Isolde. And from here we're going to be able to go into the Isolde using 6 Samurais, which is another thing that you need, and we'll be getting our search here for any warrior, as it's just going to be a discard. And then from here we'll use the Isolde, get the Phoenix Blade, and then we can get our Fuma, which will also give counters to the Dojo, and this will allow us to get access into the Shogun, which will add more counters to Dojo and be able to pitch the warrior in order to get the Gateway of the 6. And this is kind of where everything starts, because from here you can use the Gateway in order to remove the 4 counters from the Dojo, and then you're able to get yourself a Kizan. And the cool thing about this is that once you have the 2 continuous spells and the Shogun, you're able to get 4 counters, 2 from the Gateway, 1 for the Dojo, and then 1 on the Shogun because the Kizan was summoned to a pointer it points to. From here we'll be able to get a search off of Gateway because we have 4 counters, and this will get us into a second copy of Kizan, which we'll put under the pointer again in order to get the 4 counters on the field for Gateway to remove and get ourselves another search. But before that, we're going to go into the Shadow of the 6 Samurai, which I think this is kind of cool that the rank 4 has access in this deck, because when it first came out, it just looked extremely underwhelming. And for a deck that was already aging back then, it just didn't feel like enough. So seeing it pop up in 2023 is kind of cool. But from here, we're going to see that we're going to get counters, and then we can use those counters from the Gateway, remove from the field in order to get ourselves a search, as we'll get the Grand Master, and now we can summon the Grand Master to the free zone so that we can get counters on the Shogun as well. Giving us another total of 4 counters, we can remove them from the field in order to get another search, and we'll get ourselves the Kizan, and now we'll special summon out the Kizan, as we're then going to be able to link away into a second Shogun, giving us another pointer along with more counters, which is why you want to play the 2 copies. And then from there you can use the Gateway in order to remove some counters and get yourself another Kizan to your hand so that you can keep extending. From here we'll special summon out the Kizan to the pointer, get ourselves one more search through the Gateway, then we're going to be able to start link climbing. And from here we're going to start with the Mizuho, and the Mizuho is a very important piece in some of these combos, not all of them, because I do want to point out that the Build-A-Board variant is not going to be following the standard line. It's more of something that I came up with. But from here we'll be able to go into our Skull Dread, and then we'll get 4 draws off the Skull Dread, which we'll have to put 3 back, and we're not going to end up using any of them. As you see, they're all just random cards, and then from there we're going to use the Skull Dread to bring out the Mizuho, giving us extra counters. And now comes the important part, as we can get ourselves a copy of Shinai through the Gateway. The Shinai will be able to special summon itself on board. From here you can activate the Gateway again, which will get you another Shinai, and this will give you the infinite counter loop, which basically just means that because you have the Gateway and the Dojo on board, you can use the Mizuho in order to tribute off the Shinai, destroy itself. The Shinai will then trigger in the graveyard, which will add back the Mizuho, and then because you have the Shinai on board, you can special summon out the Mizuho. And then all the counters that you get onto Gateway will just allow you to get back the Shinai and just go on from there. And I want to point out that you actually could do that forever if there were no time rolls, but at the same time, the length of these combos also make them sort of a disadvantage. So we're going to keep on getting counters, And then from here, we're going to use the effect of the gateway in order to remove more counters and get ourselves back a Keyzon. And then we'll use the Mizuho, and this is where we start looping, as we're going to get back the Mizuho to our hand, special summon out the Mizuho. Then from here we can get our counters, as we'll be able to then get ourselves the Shinai off of Gateway, special summon out the Shinai. And one thing that's important to note is that if you ever feel you're getting low on counters, make sure to loop your Mizuho and your Shinai a couple of times in order to restack yourself up. As you see, you'll have extenders in hand, but there will be times where you're further into your combo and you won't have them. So from here, we'll be able to use the Mizuho again. As you see, I'm just stacking counters, and then we're going to be able to get the Mizuho back to our hand, special summon it out. We'll use the gateway in order to bring back the Shinai to our hand, as you always want access to your infinite loop. And then from there, we're going to be able to use the gateway again in order to get us a search. And then from here, we'll be able to use the Mizuho, popping the Shinai, and then we'll basically just keep looping. And we're going to do this until we have all 3 copies of Keyzon, I believe a Grandmaster and a Fuma. And as you see, it's very repetitive. It's also very mentally draining because you have to remember multiple different lines of combos, as when you first start this 3-card combo, you end up doing basically a whole Salamangreat combo before you get into your bigger combo, and this is more reminiscent to the kind of stuff that you used to see with Firewall Dragon back in Master Roll 4. As you see, we're just continuing to loop. I would like to mention though that there were Firewall FTKs back in the day with 6 Samurais as well. And it's just a deck that has always had explosive potential, but has never been reached, because as you can see, there has been multiple times through this combo where you could Nibiru, you can Imperm, you can Droll, you can Ash Blossom, and it would just stop the 6 Samurai player dead in their tracks. So that's why, even though it does more special summoning than basically anything else, it doesn't see much play. So from here, we're going to continue to loop, as we're going to get back our Shinai. We'll then be able to special summon out the Shinai, keep getting counters, use the gateway, get back another copy of Keyzon, as we're finally getting to the end of this, as we're going to loop the Mizuho one last time, and we're going to get it back, use the gateway in order to get back our Shinai. And again, it's just always to have access to it, as then we can special summon out our Shinai again. And from here, we'll be able to use the Mizuho and then get it to the graveyard in order to get it back to our hand, special summon out the Mizuho, use the gateway, get back the Shinai so that we have access to the infinite loop, and then from here we can special summon out the Shinai. The gateway will be able to get us our final search now, and then from here we're going to get the Fuma to our hand, and keep in mind that when I say search, you can get it back from the graveyard as well, but we're going to special summon out the Keyzon, and we're going to trigger the Skull Dread as well, as it is special summoned under a pointer it points to. Same thing with the Grandmaster, as we're also going to get counters for those two, and now we're going to go into our second copy of Skull Dread. So keep in mind that there's a lot of things that you can do here, as Skull Dread digs you into your deck, and I'm just drawing random cards, so it could kind of change how you play, but we're going to use the Skull Dread in order to bring out the Fuma, get counters on the Gateway. From there, we'll be able to use the effect of Gateway, getting our Shinai. We'll get more counters onto Gateway, as we'll trigger the Skull Dread, which will give more attack to the Shinai, as we're then going to use the gateway to get ourselves back Grandmaster, summon Grandmaster, and now for the first line that we have here, we're going to go into Trishula, and I believe I stated earlier, it's been a long video already, but we're going for the hand loop this route, and we're going to just do a lot of the same stuff, and this is one thing that is kind of scary if 6 Samurais do get support. I believe that it would have to change how they fundamentally play, and not make Mizuho and Shinai such a strong focus, as with such easy ways to get into Gateway, and 6 Samurais having draw power through 6 Samurai United and stuff like that, it could very well be scarier than Dark Worlds. But we're going to see us special summon out the Keyzon. We're just getting bodies on board as we're going to go into a Skull Dread, and you see that we're putting the Trishula in the graveyard. We're getting extra Skull Dreads into the graveyard. This is important because now, as we have 2 level 4s, we can go into our Digustal Emerald. we'll then be able to use the Digustal Emerald, which will get us the return of Trishula along with 2 Skull Dreads so that we can keep looping, and then we'll use the Gateway in order to get into another search, which we get back the Mizuho from the graveyard. And you see that we ended up drawing a Kizaru, and as stated earlier, whatever you get into can change your plays, but this is just going to focus on the hand loop as we're going to keep on going. We'll use the Gateway in order to get back the Fuma, we'll use the Skull Dread to bring out the Fuma, we'll then be able to get more counters, and then from here we'll be able to use the Gateway again, which will get us access into another Grandmaster of the Six Samurai. And this will give us access into another rank 9 or another level 9 as we're going to go into our Trishula. We'll then loop the second card out of our opponent's hand as we're going to activate the Gateway, and we'll continue to remove counters, bring out the Mizuho, use the Gateway again, which will be able to get back a copy of Shinai, and then from there we'll be able to keep on going, which again, it's just a lot of the same stuff as I've probably said the 3rd or 4th time by now. But we're going to go into another copy of Skull Dread. You'll go into Skull Dread about 5 to 6 times in your 6 Samurai combos, which can be kind of crazy. But we're then going to be able to get the Shinai again, keep looping as we're going to trigger the Skull Dread, getting its attack boost, use the Mizuho, start looping in order to get counters again. You never want to run out of your counters. And from here, I believe I'll probably just skip to the last one so that I save you guys the time so that you can see how you end your hand loop. Now, I will cut here to say that in the middle of your combos, you will be also having to make Omega in order to link it away, or a Skull Dread, or you can even pop it with the Mizuho if you happen to misplay so that you can get back your resources in the graveyard with Omega. And the way you do that is by using Fuma, Kizan, and the Shinai. As you saw previously, we used Grandmaster instead. And again, you're just basically looping with the Gateway, which is why I skipped it here rather than kept showing something that the same steps except adding back a Kizan instead of Grandmaster. So finally we're on our 4th Trishula, and you'll see that we have access to the infinite counters still, and I want to show the last one in specific because there are different ways that you can take. So we're going to add back our Mizuho, special summon it, get more counters, and then from here we can use the Gateway in order to get ourselves an add back, and then from here we'll get the Kizan as we're going to special summon it out, and then use the Gateway again, which will be able to get us another add back, and we're going to get ourselves the Shinai as we're going to special summon out the Shinai. Then from here we're going to trigger off the Skull Dread as we're going to use the Mizuho in order to pop itself, and then from there we'll be able to get the Mizuho back to our hand, special summon it, getting more counters, and then from here we'll use the Shien's Dojo in order to get the Kagamusha. And the reason that I'm showing this is because if for whatever reason you mess your loop up, your Shien's Dojo can get you into an extra tuner or an extra body for whatever you need, because these are long combos, so you have to be understanding that you're not going to be perfect every single time. Because we have access to so many counters, it just doesn't matter. So we're going to then see that we have access to another level 9 synchro as we're going to go into our final Trishula. And this also gives us access into a rank 9, and you can also get your Sky Fortress for a 6 banish. So I would like to point out that you also could end up just going for a Synchro 8 play or your final Synchro instead of Trishula so that you can get an Omega and special summon it back on your opponent's turn, but Trishula just rips it forever, so that was kind of nice. So with all the weaknesses that you may have seen at first glance, another one that you can see at the end here is that you have 3 cards left in the extra deck. So it's not a deck you can really grind with, even though you are FTKing or hand looping or just trying to lock your opponent out of the game. Now for this second combo, you'll see that we need these same 3 cards, and I'm going to skip ahead to the point of the infinite loop again so that you don't have to sit through this. As if you want to learn it, you can just go back and watch the first time. So now that we're at the point where we're going to go into our infinite counters, along with the Skull Dread, we're going to get the Skull Dread draw, and we're going to just get random cards again, as this time, as stated, we are going for an FTK. And the way that we're going to go about this one is by first getting our infinite counters. We're going to get the gateway to get our other Shinai, and then from here we'll be able to special summon that Shinai. And then we'll be able to get a search with the gateway after looping our Mizuho and using its effect to pop itself and get itself back, special summoning it, and then getting our Shinai. And again, we're just going to follow the same line that we did previously, getting all the Kizons, the Grandmaster, along with the Fuma, because those are the main cards that you want in order to keep extending and do what you need to do. But here we get our first Kizon, getting the use of Mizuho as we're going to pop the Shinai, getting itself back, and then special summoning it out. We're going to continue to loop. Nothing new that you haven't seen in this video yet, but we're going to get back our Shinai, just keep looping, and I'll probably just come back. So after looping Mizuho and your Shinai a million times with your gateway counters, you're going to bring out the Kizon. You're going to bring out your second Kizon. This will give you access into a rank 4, as we're then going to go into our Cowboy. And now we can use the Cowboy effect in order to get ourselves 800 burn damage to our opponent, as this is a really long FTK. So I definitely don't think you should take this against anyone unless you're trying to hold them hostage on purpose. As you see, we're doing only 800 damage at a time, so we have to do this 10 times in order to get the 8,000 damage. And we're going to go into our Skull Dread. From here we'll be able to get more draws, as don't matter, we already have everything we need with the Fuma in our hand that we can special summon from the second Skull Dread. We also have the Kizon in order to get more counters. We're going to go into the Omega after triggering our Skull. This is just your way in order to get back more resources from the graveyard, as you're going to end up linking the Omega away. And from here we'll then be able to get more counters on gateway, keep looping as we're going to get ourselves back to Shinai. And you want to do this until you have enough extenders to continue with your plays. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to try to get back all Kizons along with Grandmaster, the Fuma, so it's basically just doing the same thing over and over. Much like our previous combo, when we use the 2 Kizons to go into our Emerald, you'll have to do this in this combo as well in order to get access into more plays from the extra deck, because as you saw, you kind of run through a lot pretty quick. The Omega returns the Cowboy, and then this is a cool part as we're able to go into Zealanthus, and I play Zealanthus in order to get extra counters. You don't get counters for each 6-Sam, which is whatever, but you're able to get additional counters anyway, which is still 3 of them. We're going to go into another copy of Skull Dread, get more cards that we're going to put back, use the gateway again, and from here I'll just take you back. As you've seen, we're on our second Omega, and we're doing the same exact steps in order to get into our Cowboy again. And once I get to that Cowboy, I will be skipping the rest from there until we're at about 800 life points left of damage for you to go for the last one. Otherwise, this would be far too lengthy, and I know that you guys don't want to watch Mizuho and I loops for I don't know how many minutes, so I'll continue on from that point. Now that we've reached our final 800, we're going to continue to keep on looping the Mizuho and the Shinai. And I'm showing this because you do have a simpler route once you do get to the last 100 life points, because everything kind of just becomes simplified from there. So we're going to keep on looping our Mizuho in order to keep getting counters. And then from here we'll be able to use the gateway. This will be able to get us into our other copy of Fuma. And then from here we'll special summon out the Fuma with the Skull Dread, as we'll then be able to get ourselves a copy of Kizon here, I believe, and this will give us access into the Omega. Here we'll put the Omega back in the extra deck, as we're then going to go into it, and then we'll use the Skull Dread in order to get counters on it, as we're going to use the gateway, and then this will get us back the Shinai, as we'll then be able to use the gateway again in order to get the other copy of Shinai. And this is just to continue getting counters, but we're also going to be able to go into another Skull Dread like this. And then from there, we'll go and use our Mizuho in order to pop the Shinai. and then we'll be able to special summon out the Mizuho, get more counters. We're then going to use the gateway in order to remove counters from the field. This will get us our Shinai. Special summon it out again, as we're then going to be able to link away into our other copy of Skuldred. Use the Skuldred's effect for the final time, as we're now going to be able to use the gateway to remove counters, get ourselves Keyzon, special summon out the Keyzon, use the effect of Gateway in order to get us another copy of Keyzon, and because we were able to return the Gagaga Cowboy with our Omega, we are able to use the 2 level 4 Keyzons that we're going to have access to the Cowboy now in order to get our final 800 life points of damage to finish the FTK. So this third one is a different FTK, and this one is a lot faster, but still is a slow way to burn. I'm just showing that these are the 3 cards that you'll basically need, or some kind of way to do the same. I'll now take you on to the part where you have the infinite counters along with the searches in hand and stuff. With this particular FTK, you're going to see that it's going to depend on getting into Cannon Soldier. So basically, what would end up happening if you don't draw it now is you would continuously loop Mizuho, Shinai, your other 6 samurais along with the Gateway in order to make more Skuldreds into your Emerald and your Omega, your resources back into the extra deck, so that you can keep on summoning out Skuldred until you see your Cannon Soldier. And keep in mind that you can do this with stuff like Fossil Dyna, you can do this with stuff like Cyberstein, to name a couple other degenerate style of things that you can do. From here we're going to summon out the Mizuho, and I'm only showing this because you do have to get your loop online. So when you do get your Cannon Soldier or whatever you want to summon, you're going to have to do it off of the Skuldred. From here, I'll take you on to that point, editing out the loop. So now that we've gotten to the point where we're finally done looping for the most part, we can now focus on going into our second Skuldred, and then from here, we'll end up using the materials needed in order to go into the Skuldred, as the Skuldred will finally bring out the Cannon Soldier after we end up drawing and returning cards from our deck. With Gateway plus Dojo on board, Shinai on board with a Keyzon, having access to the infinite counter loop, this gives you access to Cannon Soldier. So you'll see we're going to use the Gateway, get back the Mizuho can add counters onto the Gateway with its summon, as we're going to trigger the Skuldred as well, use the Gateway, and then from here we'll be able to get back the Shinai. From there we'll special summon out the Shinai, get more counters, and then from here we'll be able to special summon out or return Keyzon with the Gateway in order to show that you can just keep looping the Cannon Soldier from here on out now that we have access to the infinite counters. Cannon Soldier can give you an extra zone, and the Gateway will just keep getting counters while you keep on looping your Mizuho and Shinais. Now you'll see that for a final time I'm going to use the Cannon Soldier, and this is it for this one. For these final 2 replays, I will not be looping Mizuho and Shinai, so I won't be skipping anything, as this is more for what would you want to do if you want to build sort of a more modernized build of 6 samurai, and you can consider the previous replays just different directions that you can take. From here, we're going to start by activating the dojo. We'll normal summon any 6 samurai, special summon either Grandmaster or Keyzon, doesn't matter which one. We'll go into our Isolde. Isolde will be able to get us a search, and this is going to start off the same way as your other ones. That you'll see that we specifically added the Elder 6 Samurai, and it's because you want to play mainly 6 Samurais in this build, and you'll see why as we're going to get the Gateway from here. We have access to a Gateway search with the counters on Dojo, and then from here we'll be able to get our Keyzon, special summon out the Keyzon, get the 4 counters because of Shogun, Dojo, and Gateway, use the Gateway, which will get us into another copy of Keyzon. From here, we'll be able to special summon out the Keyzon under the pointer of Shogun, go into our Shadow, as we'll then get more counters, as from here we'll then be able to use the Gateway again. Gateway will search us a Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai, as we'll be able to special that to the open zone, get more counters as we can use the Gateway again, as from here we'll be able to get ourselves a search for a Keyzon this time around, as we'll then special summon out the Keyzon. Now, much like previously, we can go into the Shogun with the extra Keyzon and the Shogun, as we're then going to use the Gateway in order to get back the Keyzon, setting ourselves up for the Skull Dread. But we're going to use the Gateway first here in order to get us a search, and we're going to get ourselves a copy of Hatsume, and this one is basically just a monster reborn by banishing 2/6 samurais from your graveyard or field, so you can even banish itself or another 6 samurai from field. And we're going to bring out the Skull Dread, draw 4. Doesn't matter what you draw, as I just got random cards, and then we're going to special summon out Hatsume, counters on our field as we're going to use the Hatsume, bring back the Fuma to stack more counters, and then from here we can use the Gateway, and this will give us access to a level 5 Synchro as well, which is kind of nice, as we're now able to stack counters from the Keyzon special summon, but then we can also stack Gateway for the Shien summon. And from here we'll be able to use the effect of the Gateway again, and we're going to continue looping sort of like our previous ones in order to get the Grandmaster, special summon out the Grandmaster and the Hatsume in order to go into the Akashic Magician. And this is the one different route where we're going to use the Akashic Magician Chainlink 1 for the attack boost, but we're also going to be able to get the Gateway counters as we're going to get back the Grandmaster, and we have access to Skull Dread again without having to play multiple in the extra deck, which is what I was trying to accomplish with the Akashic Magician, as we're going to get these on board after getting it back from Gateway, go into Skull Dread with just 3 materials, as we're then going to use the effect of Gateway again, get ourselves back a Fuma. We can use the Skull Dread in order to bring it out, as we're then going to use the Gateway again after getting counters on it. And then from here, we'll be able to bring back our Keyzon as we'll special summon it out. And now we have access to another level 5 Synchro, but before we do that, we're going to use the Zealanthus on summon, and then we're going to use its effect. We'll be able to get more counters onto Gateway, as we're then going to be able to use the effect of Gateway, getting ourselves back another copy of Keyzon, special summoning out the Keyzon, as we'll then be able to go into our Axel Synchron. And we want this because it's a level 5 tuner, but from here we'll be able to use the effect of Gateway again, getting ourselves the Grandmaster. Now we have access to a level 10 Synchro, so we'll go into the Baron, and now we can use the Gateway in order to get us another add back, as we're going to get ourselves the Grandmaster, special summon it out. We can use the Grandmaster and the Keyzon to go into IP, as we're going to use the Gateway again. This will setting us up for the last boss monster that we're going to go into, as we're going to go into the Grandmaster, get more counters, as we can then get another addition back. From here we'll be able to get the Keyzon to our hand, special summon out a copy of Fuma through the dojo this time around since we're finishing, and we're going to go into our Coral Dragon, special summon out our Keyzon, and now that we have another level 10 access, we can go into Chengying. And we'll also get a draw through the Coral Dragon, and what I think is cool about this is that with the Chengying line, you do have the Phoenix Blade somewhere here in the graveyard, where you can banish 2 warriors and then be able to trigger it, banishing a card from your opponent's field and graveyard. From here, I'm going to stop this one because there's just different things you can do. You can get back a Keyzon, make that your body for IP, go into Unicorn or Appo or whatever. Can go into the Appo straight away, but the video I'm just going to end it on this. For the final one, and I'll be doing a full hand this time around in which we don't see Dojo. We do have access to the General, which is really the only way that this deck goes. So I'm sorry if I'm showing a lot of like the same hands. Doing it because 6 Samurai kind of do need specific hands to be able to pop off with how many cards they do need. We're going to start here with the Elder Entity normal summon, special summon out the Grandmaster, getting our counters for the United. We'll then be able to draw 2 as we see another United, which again we would prefer to see the Dojo, but we'll get ourselves a copy of Elder through the Isolde. Isolde will then send the Blade, as we'll be able to bring out the Fuma. From here we'll get another counter on United, as we're going to special summon out the Legendary Secret of the 6 Samurai. And then from here we'll get other counters on United, as we'll be able to use the United in order to get 2 more draws, and we get into a third United, which is fine because at this point in time we are going to go into our General. from here we'll be able to use its effect as we'll get ourselves the search of the gateway. And the one convenient thing about this is that do have another spell card that we can put counters on so that we can continue to manipulate gateway, so that is pretty nice. And then from here we're going to bring out the keys on, start looping much like we have previously, as we're going to get another copy of keys on, special summon it out to the pointer, and then we'll be able to get more counters on gateway, get a search with gateway. We'll be able to add ourselves a copy of keys on again, and then from here we'll go into the shadow as we're going to get more counters on board, and then we'll special summon out the final copy of keys on, as we'll then be able to go into the legendary Six Samurai Shien, which is kind of nice here because you're just able to stack more counters, as we do get a search for the Grandmaster before that. And then from here, we're going to be able to special summon out the Grandmaster, then use the gateway again in order to get us an add back, as we're going to get the keys on to our hand, I believe. And then we're going to special summon out the keys on. We'll be able to get more counters as we go into a second copy of the gun. And then from here, we'll be able to use the gateway, getting ourselves back a keys on. And the United is just there being a placeholder for counters. And we'll be able to use the gateway again, able to get ourselves Hatsume this time around, as we'll then be able to go into our Skull Dread, and now we can get draws along with the ability in order to go special summon the Hatsume for an extra body after we use its Monster Reborn effect. You'll also see that we got the legendary Shogun Shien, or the Great Shogun Shien. This is a really cool deck in this deck because of how this particular version functions. You kind of just want to play all the special summons. We're going to be able to use the gateway now and get ourselves back the keys on, special summon it out, as we're then going to go away into the Akashic Magician. And playing this build, this is the way that you want to go for it, as you want the Akashic to be an extra body in order to go back into your Skull Dread, as you saw previously. And we're going to bring out the Grandmaster, as we're then going to be able to use the gateway. The gateway will then be able to get us back a Keyzon. We'll then special summon out the Keyzon. This gives us access to a 3-material Skull Dread. We're going to use the gateway in order to get back 6 Samurai from our graveyard, which will be the Keyzon, and then we're going to special summon out the Keyzon, as we'll then be able to go into a Synchro 5, or we're going to actually use the gateway in order to get back another copy of Keyzon. Special summon out the Keyzon. We'll then be able to go into either a rank 4 or rank 5. No, we're going to go into the Zealanthus, and then we're going to use the Zealanthus effect in order to get more counters onto Gateway and United. And we'll also get the bodies back, which is nice, but we're then going to see ourselves go into Daigusto Emerald here, putting back the Skull Dread along with the legendary Shadow, along with the Akashic Magician, get ourselves a draw, use the gateway in order to get the Keyzon back to our hand, as we're going to special summon out the Keyzon, get more counters on gateway and United, as we're going to go into the Axel Synchron, and then from here we can use the gateway again, which will get us back the Grandmaster, giving us access into our Baron. And then from here we can synchro them away into the Baron, as we're going to use the gateway again. Get ourselves back a copy of Grandmaster, as we're going to special summon out the Grandmaster. Use the gateway again in order to get back a Keyzon. And what this does is give us access into another Link 4, as we're going to link away the Daigusto Emerald, the Grandmaster, the Zealanthus, and the Keyzon for another Skull Dread. Use the Skull Dread effect again. We'll keep the Kizaru along with the dojo that we ended up finally drawing. And from here, we'll be able to activate the dojo. And this is just going to set off more nuttiness, because now we just have another place to keep counters on. We're going to bring out the Keyzon, keep looping from here, as we're going to use the gateway again. And then from here, we'll be able to get back another copy of Keyzon, I believe. As we do go into the Keyzon, we're going to go into our Shadow for a second time. And I do want to point out that you could go for Dugaras after that. We do bring out the Great Shogun Shien first, but we're going to then be able to get more counters on our 3 continuous spells, as we're then going to use the gateway again in order to get an extra body. And now we'll have access into a Link 4, which is kind of cool, as we bring out the Kizaru. And then we're going to go into a 4-material Appaloosa, as we already have an Omni Negate and a Spell and Trap Negate. And we're going to bring out the Grandmaster, get more counters onto our continuous spells, as we'll then be able to the effect of Gateway getting back the Keyzon, get more counters, as we'll then be able to go into our IP Masquerena, use the effect of Dojo to bring out the Fuma, use the effect of the Gateway here, which will add us back either the Grandmaster or the Keyzon, depends on what you want to do. You could also get back the Great Shogun Shien with the final effect of the Gateway, and what this does is it gives you access into a Synchro 8. But the other cool thing is that after we go for Omega, we can actually end up using the Gateway again. This will give us access into Shien for a second time. We can end on it anyways, allowing our opponent only to use one spell and trap each turn. Our board on the Great Shogun Shien, the Omega, the Baron, the IP Masquerena, the Legendary Shien, and the 4-material Appaloosa, along with whatever you draw. And in this case, we do have a Book of Eclipse and the Thrust. We also have more counters for Gateway, and you can even get follow-up with this way, as you'll see here. We're going to get back the Hatsume. You can even give yourself an attack boost if you want. All of the looping finally out of the way, we can get onto the lists. And you'll see that we play the most important cards at 3, which are your Dojo, the United. We wish we could play more than one Gateway, but it's all we have access to right now. And in this particular build, where you're going for the FTKs or hand loops, and I kind of mix the extra decks together, you can adjust them to whichever version you want to play, just other options that you have. Just making the main deck as cookie cutter as possible to be a decent enough skeleton list if this is something that you were willing to work on. The combos kind of just showed everything. I won't bother talk too much about the deck, so I will go over the card by card on this one. And the 1 Grandmaster, the 3 Keyzon, the 1 Kizaru, the 1 Kagemusha, the 3 Kageki, the 1 Hatsume, the 1 Dolphin, the 3 Connector, Legendary, the 1 Xian Squire, which is only here if you play the Nap Beast. Keep in mind that I did combine both the extra decks for the hand loop and the FTK. Isn't the particular build that I would prefer to play either. I have the Fuma, the 2 Shinai, the Mizuho, the 1 Gateway, the 3 Dojo, the 3 United, the 3 Kaijus, the 2 Book of Eclipse, the 1 Called By, the 1 DDR, the 1 Living Fossil, the 1 Blade, the 3 Smoke Signal, and the 1 Rhoda to round out the main deck. Onto the extra deck, we have the 3 Skull Dread, the 2 Shoguns, the 1 Isolde, the 1 Fortress, the 1 Daigusto Emerald, Cowboy, the Shadow, Tien, the Omega. If you're playing the FTK version, then you're taking it out for these 3 here. Playing the hand loop, you're playing the 3 Trishulas. Finally, for the other build of it, and this is, I guess, the more unique one, and you'll see that we do max out on the Kizaru, the Grandmaster. We do play the Great Shogun Shien, and it's because we want to see any 6 Samurai name along with any of these. As you get a Grandmaster or a Keyzon, and moderately combo as long as you have more gas. Of course, we do max out on the Dojo and the United. We have the Smoke Signal, which can get you into an extender. The Elder Entity, and I know I'm going to get laughed at for this, but this is a quote-unquote going second card. And it's because you're able to special summon it, get yourself an extra body to get yourself more counters and stuff like that. Again, this isn't meant to be the most competitive deck. Saw all the problems within the combo itself. This is just for people who want to have fun playing a deck that they like. Aside of that, everything else is pretty standard. Regards to what you saw in the combo video, we play the Akashic to return the Skull Dread, the Zealantis, the great partner for Skull Dread. The 2 Shoguns along with the Isolde are just mandatory in any 6 Samurai build right now, I believe. We have the 1 Appaloosa, the 2 rank 4s, which I think that these are the most important ones. Dugaris does have a place, so does Redoer and Zeus. These are other options that you can explore if you don't want to play Chengying. We do have the Shien, the Axel Synchron, the 1 Omega, the Baron, Chengying to round out the extra deck. The options here, and I wanted to put the time-rending Morganite here because one problem that 6 Samurais, or this build in particular, has is that you might need the extra summon to get your counters or whatever. Being an extra summon plus a draw 2 on your next turn kind of does fix some of the problems this deck has. But the issue with this is also that kind of terrible to see in some hands, and multiple isn't necessarily the greatest either because you need at least 3, 4 cards to play with this particular deck. Ice Jade Synchro is another interesting option if you want to play Coral Dragon. There's another thing that you can easily make your Elder along with the Fuma, so that's another thing that's important to put in here, as well as the Rear can be kind of another option if you do want to play this. Didn't like the fact it wasn't a 6 samurai monster, so I didn't care much for it, and I felt like having a kaiju to get over troublesome monsters may have been better. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video, and if you made it this far, I thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.